Hello and welcome to Romero Threads on YouTube, where it's all about embroidery. And today we're going to talk about those 5 rules when embroidering beanies. Some of the characteristics about our beanies. All right, so as you can see, very stretchy. So this stretch here, it changes a lot of our techniques that we're used to with just regular garments such as polos and hats. Okay, so this here, we have new rules to follow. So any type of thin stitches, okay, can easily get lost in all of this thickness. This is one of my favorite beanies to work with just because it's good quality. Okay, so as you can see, stretchy, pretty thick, okay, puffy. It's kind of puffy in here. It has some bounce. And as you can see, it's also in the category of a knit. So we'll talk about the 5 rules that you have to follow. Okay, rule number 1, and of course these rules could be all interchangeable. Okay, you can't, it doesn't mean that this is the first rule you got to follow in order. Okay, but since we're here on the hooping station, rule number 1 on embroidering beanies is you have to hoop correctly when it comes time for beanies. All right, even though there's 1,000 different ways to hoop on beanies, I've tried every type of different techniques. Okay, and I'm going to tell you what is the fastest, what is the most efficient and quickest way to get your beanies correctly done. Okay, so of course, right, we have the mighty hoop. Mighty hoops, when it comes for beanies, that's automatic. Biggest thing here, right, is the stretch. What you don't want is to stretch it out too much to the point where it's going to stretch your design and your design starts looking all wonky. Okay, you definitely don't want that. So by having this here is just the regular 5.5. Okay, I call this the Swiss Army knife of hoops, okay, because you can use it for so many different reasons. So, right, especially time-wise, you're moving in and out real quick, all right? Hooping-wise, okay, like it seems like this size was made specifically for beanies, okay, because as you can see, right, when you open it up, when you open this up, it gives it a very slight stretch, but it's a natural stretch. So this is a natural stretch, okay? You're not pulling it to the point where all your beanies opening up all the way, but at the same time, it's not all crunched up, okay? So it's a natural stretch. Of course, we're missing one step here, right, in the hooping station, and that is rule number 2 when hooping beanies, okay? So these number 1 and number 2, they're kind of like locked in together. All right, so rule number 2 when embroidering beanies is you have to have cutaway. You have to use cutaway, especially if you're using text, if you're using thin designs. Okay, you have to have cutaway, because what cutaway is going to do, it's going to hold your design in one place. It's not going to have your designs going all over the place, getting stretched out. Okay, so let's go ahead and let me show you how to go about. So I got a piece here. What I like to do, so I have my rolls of cutaway. All right, and what I like to do, I like to get it the size of the hoop and just make a cut straight down, right? So from here, I just cut it exactly to the size that I need it. So I know the top of my beanie, right, goes up here. All right, so what I like to do, I like to go halfway in. All right, that way we're not wasting cutaway. Okay, we're not wasting cutaway. We're saving cutaway. But this is the trick here, is our blue tape. This blue tape is what's gonna hold our cutaway nice and solid. The only reason why I'm putting tape is because I'm not using a full cutaway. But if you're using a full cutaway, you don't have to worry about this tape. It just holds it in place. That's all it does. Okay, so it's just an extra couple seconds of a step, but I know my cutaway is going to be nice and firm. All right, so we got our cutaway ready to go. We get our beanie. All right, so of course, the tag, this is the back side. You can put a small reference here, and to let you know, this is the front side. So remember, this is the back side of your beanie. All right, there's the front side. This is how it should be stitched out. Okay, it's just a little reference to remind you, hey, because sometimes, especially when you start the first 1, 2, 3 beanies, all right, you might flip the design upside down, which is very common. All right, so this kind of avoids that problem. But I'm gonna put this piece of tape here as my center, okay? Just in case you guys don't see it there on the screen, you could put a little piece of tape just to let you know when you're centering your design, that's your center point. Okay, so go ahead, right? And this is all being done, and all this, the good thing about this station, you know your hoop is straight, right? And it's perpendicular, your hoop is perpendicular to this line here. And then here, what I like to do in this middle, I like to pull this middle up, okay? Because it has a tendency of wanting to drop like a little U. So when you kind of pick it up a little, all right. Also, what you can do is, a lot of this tape is optional, and with time, you'll see if it's necessary or not. But you could also put tape here on the top, or you could run it all the way down, all right. Then once you get ready to go, okay, this is ready to go. You push down this, okay, this little plastic part that's trying to push it back up, okay. Then you carefully pull it out. All right, so my beanie is ready to go right here. Okay, got my center point. Okay, let's talk about rule number 3, okay? And that is digitizing your design correctly for a beanie. All right, so you already know we have this extra puffiness on the beanies. So some designs you want to stay away from are thin text, okay? Small little details that it's gonna kind of hide in between all this fluffiness of the beanie, okay? You definitely want to stay away from that. One thing that's always highly recommended, and this is with towels and beanies and all sorts of type of garments, is putting down a knockdown stitch. Okay, so a knockdown stitch or a grid, some type of base down below, just to kind of push down on all this fluffiness. Okay, so I'm gonna show you an example as soon as we start this design. I'm just centering it with that little dot that I put here. Okay, so we should be good there. One thing about beanies, you want to go as high to the top as possible. Okay, so when you trace it, just make sure you're as close as you want to be. So I'm good right there. Okay, so rule number 3 and number 4, it's another one that kind of comes together. Okay, so number 3 was the design. You're gonna see when I put down this knockdown stitch, how it's gonna start controlling the design, just so it doesn't get lost in all this fluffiness of the beanie. Same thing you'll do with a towel. It's the same thing that with a beanie. So let's talk about rule number 4. Okay, kind of goes hand in hand with our design. Okay, and that is choosing the correct needle. Let me give you a quick information on our equipment. All right, needles 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 with a 70 ballpoint needle. We use those for polo shirts and beanies. All right, so you want to make sure you're using the correct ballpoint needles. Of course, you can use sharp, but sometimes with sharp, especially when you start getting into the fine details, it can start making unnecessary holes in your garment. So rules number 3 is the design. 4, make sure you have the needle that matches your design. Okay, let's go ahead and let's stitch out this design. All right, so you can't see it too well. Okay, you can kind of see it here. All right, but this is my knockdown stitch. So now I've flattened out this area here. So now when I do my design, it's easier for my stitches to stand out a bit. All right, so here we just have a tatami stitch running through, just to give us a nice clean look down below. All right, let me just stop it real quick. I just want to show you here before it starts the sand stitch. You can see my underlay. I have an edge run and a double zigzag. All right, so I know this sand stitch that's about to get stitched out is gonna have a nice base. Okay, nice base. It's gonna look nice and fresh. So let's go ahead. Let's finish this one out. Okay, so we are off the machine. Check this out real quick. Right off the hoop. So as you can see, our letters look nice and crispy. So now when we stretch it out, that cutaway holds everything together. All right, that's the main thing on having this cutaway. Okay, one thing that I noticed, I don't know if you can notice too much here, but I do have one small thread here that is kind of loose, and they usually come up when you have long sand stitches. Okay, as you can see, this is kind of like a I would say it's probably like a 6 or a 7 millimeter length sand stitch. Okay, so it kind of bounced, but anytime you get these little loose threads, so a lot of you already know about snab nab it. This snab nab it pretty much saves the day. Okay, anytime you have anything that's trying to act up, okay, simple fix here, especially with beanies. Okay, especially with beanies, it has a rough texture here on the back. Okay, all you're gonna do is just connect it with that stitch, and it's just gonna pull it in. All right, you gotta push it in. I've even used this on hats, okay, believe it or not. Okay, but as you can see, that was just like magic. Okay, so it took it right back in, and all it's doing is grabbing that piece of thread and just pulling it in. All right, so other than that, everything looks nice and clean, and you have a cool little pocket here to put it in. All right, so I just pull this out, just, you know, anytime I have any little loose thread kind of hanging out. All right, that way you don't have to cut it, you don't have to mess up that nice looking sand stitch. Okay, so now we are on our final rule number 5 on beanies. Okay, rule number 5, and I kind of gave a little hint in the beginning, and that is you want to make sure you buy nice quality beanies. Okay, I know they're out there. There are these cheap beanies, but trust me, when you put them side by side, a nice looking beanie with a very cheap beanie, all right, you can tell the difference. You want to have this nice puffiness of these beanies. Okay, that way your stitches, for some reason, they lay a whole lot nicer when you have a good stitch. So the reason for this beanie here, I actually just bought a brand new Silverado. So this is actually a gift to my sales rep, all right, because he did an awesome job. So this is a little present that I'm giving my sales rep over at the dealership. All right, so of course, look at how clean that looks. Okay, one last thing. If you are interested in purchasing any of the Mighty Hoop stations, of course, you already know that we love them. We like to work with them, not just because they keep everything nice and straight, but it helps us with efficiency and moving our projects nice and quick. All right, but if you are interested in ordering, I have a code for free shipping. So make sure you use the information down below to get your free shipping if you are interested in ordering any of the Mighty Hoop station. And it's always better to call them directly, just so you know they have what you're looking for, and that way they could answer any of your questions also. All right, so thank you for stopping by, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace out.